Welcome. This is Barry Jones from Angelic Wisdom, and we're here for our monthly Ascension Angel Messages for August 2025. So, as we open this session of healing and information from the angels, let's take a moment to align with the highest and clearest intentions of understanding and wisdom and compassion for ourselves and for each other and for all of humanity. And just imagine that you are standing near a waterfall, surrounded by nearby trees that sort of create a feeling of an intimate cloister of green foliage and a running stream. And just allow yourself to be grounded by this enormous tree that stands in front of you. And off to the right, you hear the waterfall, rushing water, creating a sort of feeling of release, healing, and clearing of energy. Just feel the mist, the rainbow mist, just gently bathe your aura. And the sparkles of sunshine reflecting the rainbow mist, lighting up your energy cells, your energy field, and your cells with divinity. And open your heart to receive love from nature and the divine. And just let it open you up to oneness. And just feel the transformation of the energy that is all around you. And feel the internal transformation of connecting with oneness. And for the opportunity to have this sense of inner peace, clarity, wisdom, and understanding of the world and the universe. And the angel number 432 comes up in the word speed. It says, trust that you're accurately hearing trustworthy divine guidance from your angels and the ascended masters. This guidance may come in the form of feelings, ideas, visions, or signs. And this is coming to us with great speed in the month of August. So it may feel like, but it feels like we're going to be just really shifting or moving in new directions in those ideas, these signs, all of that is going to be accelerating to help us to catch up with our understanding of who we are, who we truly are, versus where we are. And as we catch up with who we are and that understanding and have more clarity of who we are, this accelerates everything. And this allows for more alignment and synchronicity to occur. So just take a moment, if you haven't, and just make sure, first of all, let's welcome everyone back to this monthly series. And for any of you who are new, who are joining our community, we welcome you and hope that you hang out with us for a while. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do that. Like, and of course, this video, and leave your comments. If you are looking to have an angel reading with me, you can go to my current website, theangelschool.com/services. And for the summer, I am doing readings from Monday through Friday, from 12 noon to 6 p.m. And that's Eastern Daylight Savings Time. And also, if you'd like to support my channel with a donation, you can use my PayPal me link. All of these links you'll find in the description area beneath this video. Make sure you check out the weekly videos if you haven't been watching them, especially in the last 3-4 weeks. So they're really important. I really feel that way about them, because they've definitely been just helping me tremendously in the awareness and information that they're bringing through. So let's take a look at the cards, and the card in the center will be a message from the Archangel that we'll be working with in this month. And the cards on either side will be further insights about the energies of this month. So on the left, we have a card from the Major Arcana, and this will represent what is the overall theme or the energies that are sort of behind the scenes, that we don't directly always perceive, but it's what's sort of causing or creating what we're seeing in our conscious awareness. So that's more the unconscious awareness. So on the right, the card is from the Minor Arcana, and that shows us how this energy is going to be working with us and showing up, moving us and influencing us, and hopefully will give us insights as well is in how we can work with that more directly. So let's go ahead and take a deep breath and tune into the angels' messages. And it's so interesting. I'm seeing one of those old-fashioned singer, oh my God, I don't even know how to say the word anymore. for the machine. Um, oh my God, my whole life, my mom was a seamstress and had one of these things, the sewing machine. Oh my goodness. Um, so this is interesting because, and I'm seeing sort of some kind of wheel as if it's spinning, but very transparent. I think that's a message as well, that we're gonna, the way that we're creating. So this gives me a sense of fun. One, because it's like we're going, um, sometimes it's like creating something. Like I remember when my mom was a seamstress, and when I was a child, the department stores had half of the clothes were already made, factory manufactured or whatever you call it, factory, and then the other side was patterns and just all of this um, materials, right, with all these different patterns and colors, and you could choose, you know, a dress pattern, but you could choose the way it looked, and you would follow the pattern, and you could have more free license. If you were good at this, you maybe added or to it in some way. Um, so there's that sense of more creative freedom, more creative license to sort of you know play and shape our own reality, and somehow that wheel spinning in that very transparent way, it's going to come out of some sense of transparency. Probably you'll be more transparent with yourself. I think that's where it all starts, and then of course being more transparent with others, just because it just is easier. It feels better. It feels easier. There's a sense of integrity being the sort of the axle of our wheels, and in a way that it's never been before. And so you might start to feel as though your heart has shed something heavy that it's been using as an excuse for everything. Um, and you no longer feel the need to carry that as a part of your responsibility. And when we carry something like this, it just creates a cycle of, guilt, of regrets, fear, shame. It creates all kinds of things. And so, with that integrity of being transparent, it's just like, if I'm transparent, if I live this way, it might take time to get used to, but it's just easier to deal with. Whatever the consequences are, it's easier because it's there's it's not so convoluted, right? It's there. And once we just put ourselves out there with such clarity of who we are, then yeah, people are gonna have their reactions and responses, but it's sort of like this level of integrity doesn't cause for people to try to wrestle with you or try to convince you. They have to convince themselves, or they have to just move on. They have to, this is what it is, and it's I deal with it or I don't. And everybody moves in their own directions and on their own path. Whereas the old way, it's kind of like it's manipulative quite often. First, we're manipulating ourselves. So we feel so restricted and then so frustrated with that restriction. Um, and then we're expending a lot of energy into trying to manipulate, influence, persuade things to go the way we want them to go, or the way we want things to be perceived. And with this um, piece of integrity and total transparency, all of that is released. It's just this weight off of ourselves. And then we start to really gain access to being authentic, being who we are, and only being focused on that. And that means not apologizing, because there's nothing wrong with who we truly are. And I think that becomes the piece. Like, we know it in theory, but to feel it, for it to be an experience that's tangible and understandable and relatable. I think this is something that's huge. It is understandable, and most importantly, authenticity is relatable. Because everybody deep down inside who's been doing the other thing and manipulating it with the facade, they too want to be done with that. And they too just want to be focused on being and creating, from that place of truth. There's less to worry about. They write the angel number 6, which is I hear it often in my head, don't worry about a thing, because every little thing's. It creates less worry when you're transparent, when who you're meant to be, who you truly are. Let's put it that way better. It's less worrying. You know why? Because you're not worried about trying to control anything else or the reality of where you are. You're focusing on who you are. It's that liberating component of discovering and actualizing who you are by learning to be transparent. You don't have to worry anymore, because the other was a lot of manipulation and control, and then trying to cover that up so nobody could see what you were doing, and hopefully that you could camouflage it, that they would never be able to trace it back to you, right? And living that way is like always walking around with looking over your shoulders. And so whoever it is that our ego had made us try to be all this time, and it was endless, right? That masquerade, that costume, and all of those characters that you had to play, wasn't it exhausting? Now, I know I'm saying it to you like as if I've done it. No, I haven't. This is just coming through. But I guess I feel them talking to you and I this way, and that's just that's how it's coming out in that way. But isn't it exhausting? And just like this, just like and just like that, right? The new TV series, haven't watched this season, but now I like the sound of that. And just like that, when you realize something like that, it's like, what the hell am I doing? What the hell am I doing? Why was I making it so difficult? Why are any of us? And when you want to come from this place of integrity and just be totally transparent, you free yourself. You free yourself. Not saying that it won't be challenging, not saying that you might get some backlash for this. That's gonna happen. especially for those who are not ready to be in that place of integrity, when you are living by a certain example, you are going to have to learn to deal with that, because for those who are not ready, but yet they have crossed your path, they cannot be cross your path without being ready on some level for some part of it. When they resisted, that's how they act out in whatever way or degree that they do. But know that it's because you're doing the right thing. You're being true to yourself, and you're being a mirror for everyone else's higher self. And so it's okay to set off sparks, because those sparks just create light that maybe is not like focused, but it's in the way that people can receive it in bits and pieces. You might be radiating this full-on light, which you're not trying to, but when you uncover yourself by being yourself, and coming from this place of integrity, you just become this full-on light, and it has sparks. And for those who are ready for the full-on light, they will embrace you. For those who are not, and they're only ready for the sparks, they may react in different ways. We don't know how. It could be negative to positive, but they will react. And that's okay. The challenge in all of that for you is to help you to keep making the same choice that you have started to make, and to be consistent with it. You don't have to be consistent, meaning you don't have to be perfect. But every time you try to be better, even when you have imperfect times and moments, when you get back on track, you make it even better. And that is just by enjoying who you are. Enjoy being who you are, being totally transparent with yourself and with others, so that there's less for you to worry about, a whole lot less for you to worry about, a whole lot less for you to look back on, because you did it with total truth. And it allows you to look forward, to really look forward, and even better, to really be embodying the present, so that your looking forward has a whole new trajectory. That's what's so delicious and so important and key in all of this. All right, let's get to the angel message and see which archangel we're working with this month. And it's Archangel Jeremiel. So, the message on the card says, learn from your challenges, relax and trust. And there's a waterfall. Okay. So, it's so interesting, that waterfall there. And what does this mean? What is the message from Archangel Jeremiel? In August, he's saying, for those of us who are ready, and you can only be ready because of the challenges that you've had. They didn't make you worse. You didn't get off course. Your past hasn't defiled you. He's saying it defined you. Oh, that's beautiful. Your past, it has not defiled you, but it's defined you. And it's been doing that as a process of refining you. As it refined you, it defined you. And so, embracing every challenge in your life as not having defiled you or anyone else, but it's been refining you and everyone else. Therefore, defining. Like what you have clarity about what you want and who you are, that's the definition that's come about and could not have happened without any of them. You know, Archangel Jeremiel is the Archangel of Life Review. And so this is a very pivotal moment, I feel like, for all of us in August, as we're having sort of this life review and life shift. Something, and he writes the word courage. Just got to have a lot of courage. And I saw the word cause, as if the courage transforms the causation that has been our point of attraction. So we have, well, it's almost like what I feel like I'm getting out of what I'm trying to say is that the causation of your life will shift, bringing new effects. And you'll get this if you can get your causation to be about total transparency. That frees you from regrets and worrying and trying to be, frees you from the masquerade ball of the ego. We get to go home, leave that ball, masquerade ball, and just be more in the flow, more peace, more valor and integrity that becomes our reality. But we have to start the journey in order to reap the success of being transparent. Remember, focus on being who you are and stop worrying about where you are, because where you are will change when you start acting from the wisdom and the understanding of who you are. All right, let's take a look at the card here from the Major Arcana. This is going to give us a theme. So, the wise counselor. And this is the Hierophant. So there is definitely some kind of sense of awareness of spiritual laws, right? And spiritual and the signs and the gifts that unfold when we incorporate them into our daily lives. So this brings up for us a sense of our spiritual practice. You know, like the high priestess or the hermit, you know, the high priestess is sort of like just sort of this channel, right? Just channeling information. But the high priest is, for me, one now who is processing that information in practical and tangible ways, so that your life is a breathing, living, your spirituality is a breathing, living practice, not just for spiritual things. And integrity and transparency, they're spiritual, but they're not just for spiritual things. They are for the practical applications of life. Challenging when you're in a masquerade ball, but liberating when you can stand in that ball and you don't need to hide, and you can learn to start having fun, and you can start to create a train. I'm thinking one of those dance lines where everybody starts following. You can create this kind of where everybody joins on to that, on board with you, because they find that it's more fun. It's liberating. Your fun, your joy, your laughter, your creativity, it is all now unlimited and in this sense of freedom. When I pulled this card, they wrote the word hermit. And I was kind of having a feeling that was not going to be the card to show up here. However, I do, for me, that like the high priest is the high priest or hierophant, and the hermit for me really are the spiritual teachers or the spiritual ones, the ones who deal with that how do I say, the inner realm, right? For me, the hierophant is in between those the two worlds. The hermit takes, he steps away in order to get back to that, to focus on what's important for him. But I feel like in all of this, while you're trying to do this practice, trying to live your life, you're going to have to understand that there might, at first, you might feel a little separate or isolated. The thing is that we have to stop going to that place. I had this sort of epiphany one time that the hermit is, I don't know if I can remember it now, but I had this other sort of feeling about the hermit, and that he doesn't need to separate from the world, right? But he kind of just looks at it from a higher place. He's still he's still a part of the world. He's looking at it from a different perspective. And, he's also the oldest in the entire tarot, to my mind. And so there is that maturity, that is a part of the hermit. So there's some kind of, when we get to a certain level of maturity, there's certain things we just don't need to be a part of, while still being deeply involved and making a contribution, being there as a wise one for others. All right, let's take a look at see how this is going to influence us on a day-to-day basis. And here we have this Two of Earth. So it gives definitely a sense of a balancing act, right? And I think that's what's important too. You don't have to just like go all out. Like, don't go to the extreme of the hermit. Just leaving everything behind and anything that resembles life or reality. It's about, with the Hierophant, like between, right, is accessing that inner reality, and really focus on how to express that, channel that inner reality of wisdom and knowledge and law into the practice of his daily life, and that's simply said, being who you are supposed to be, being, exemplifying your truth, being totally transparent. This is a precarious path to walk, as I tried to describe before. It has challenges, but somehow you got to learn how to have fun with it and focus on being yourself in every aspect of your decisions and your life. Try to make sure you come back to that level of sort of integrity, as sort of to keep the scales balanced. Is this who I am? Does this really represent my truth? Can I find a better way to exemplify who I am in whatever it is, instead of just sometimes accepting this is the way that things are, and I got to play the game. I got to pull out a costume or put on a certain character. But if you do, how can you play the character based on your own lived experiences, based on who you truly are? It's almost like an actor. You might be playing something that's fictional, but you're basing it off of how, if I were in that situation, how would I react? And that might be the piece that allows you to still be linked to that integrity, and it still allows you to be who you are. But you're doing it in a way sometimes that allows other people to see themselves. So this is a month where you are finding that point. And we talked about in some of the weekly readings about the point of attraction, one of worth versus undeserving, and that every point of attraction has two sides, like two sides of a coin. But the one that's focused on worth and your value, no matter what the two sides of the coin are, they are still promoting they're still promoting what's for your best and highest good. And the evaluation of the two aspects of that are just going to give you great pros and cons. It's going to keep you really focused on fulfilling what you're passionate about. Whereas the other one separates you, takes you away from that, diminishes that awareness, and you're just in this endless struggle, the endless masquerade. It's time for all of us to not be under the influence. And we all know what that means. And spiritually, we all need to give up being under the influence so that we can start to let the light within us bring us true joy, true peace. So I send you lots of love and angel blessings, and have a really great month of some shifts and the opportunity to be freer. I don't know, I just saw passport, transparency, passport. Like that being transparent is a passport to being on this path of ascension in those higher dimensions. and that will give you access to the new golden future. God bless you.